Welcome back to another episode of Freddy's Real Life Nightmares. Tonight we're gonna meet some really random geek who apparently really likes me. So, I guess we'll start by meeting him. Hi, welcome to the show.
Wow. Thanks, Freddy. Can I call you Freddy?
Freddy's fine.
Okay, thanks, Freddy.
Mr. Krueger.
Mr. Krueger. Yeah, I was really excited that you wanted to have me on your show because I'm a great big fan. I love the Nightmare on Elm Street series, as you can see behind me. The first time I saw A Nightmare on Elm Street, it had come out on cable after it had been released in theaters, and I remember seeing the promos on television, and I would take naps after school. It was just the right time at dusk, you know. It was still, you could see a little bit of light on the horizon, but it was getting dark. And I woke up, and it was the scene where Freddy's making his glove. And it was in that tiny little box in the center of the screen, and for some reason I was so fascinated with it. I woke up from a nap, and in that kind of, you know, sleepy haze that you have, and it came on, and I remember watching it with my mom, and it just blew me away. The whole concept of it being in the dreams, and it was, but the creepiness that you can't really get away from your dreams because they're in your head. And so that's when I was first a fan, because it was the first time I ever saw the film.
Alright, enough of that. Let's talk about these big cardboard idols you have of me. You apparently have great taste in decorations.
So, one of the coolest collectibles that I have are the cardboard stand-ups of the VHS releases. This is part 4, and as you can see, it's a very interesting promo look, and he's over the house, jump roping evil children, drawing on the graffiti. It's graffiti, I tell you, graffiti. When VHS went directly to video stores, and you couldn't really purchase them to watch at home, you had to rent them first. We have Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Part 5, The Dream Child, and the first one, of course, I got A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, which was my favorite, and I had it up all the time, and I loved the artwork and the style. The best part was they were all free. I would just go in and go, "Can I have that?" And they said yes. It was free. Then you have the t-shirts. Look, still fits me, right? A nice shot of Freddy reaching over my man breast there. Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Then you have Nightmare on Elm Street 5. A rare shot of Freddy spoon-feeding his younger self-possessed body person. Don't dream and drive, bitches. Don't dream and drive. So this is a rather recent one, but I always really enjoyed this because it's a 3D poster recreation. So you have the classic original film poster, and Freddy is reaching out, and Nancy's lying there looking very terrified. This is another one of those free things I ended up with from video stores. There was this one I went to in particular, and they had this piece of beauty up, and what it is it's a sort of see-through plastic, and they had it on this lighted background thing so that when you put it in front of light it would glow, and of course it'd be the fire and Freddy, and it's all, I don't know if you can tell, it's ribbed for your pleasure. Back in the day we had these great big huge CDs. They were called records. This was the very first one I ever owned. It was Dawkins' Dream Warriors. And I loved it again because it had the poster art on it, and I listened to it over and over again. And then of course you have DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. They got into trouble for this, Nightmare on My Street, because it was not commissioned by the people who did Freddy, but it was like the first like kind of Freddy single kind of thing. And then of course that made so much money they came out with their own that was commissioned. Fat Boys, are you ready for Freddy? And then, of course, when you're speaking of old formats, you can, of course, see that I purchased all of the soundtracks on cassette tape. I do have some on CD now, but I originally purchased them all on cassette tape. Now, speaking of cassette tapes, there was this really interesting story. Back in the days when 1-900 numbers were first getting started to promote things other than dirty lines, Freddy Krueger had one. And I asked my mom if I could call in. And I told her how much it was, and it was rather cheap considering how they ended up. And maybe $1 or something a minute, blah, blah, blah. Well, I thought that she said I could call it all the time. Because I was just like, sure, you can call. So I called every day for probably a month or so. But I was smart enough, I held up my jam box to the phone, because I had a speakerphone, and I recorded these stories that they would tell me on the phone, and I would wait until it looped back around into the beginning of the story, and I would record it.
It's time for another of Freddy Krueger's favorite bedtime stories. And this one's a dream. My kind of dream. The kind you don't wake up from. So listen. When I opened my eyes, I thought I was having a nightmare. I couldn't remember who I was, where I'd been. Suddenly I was just here. With sulfurous air hung thick in a blood-red haze. And then I noticed the creaking of wood. I was inside a ship of some kind. A hideous slave galley.
I, of course, have all the way, I believe, to Freddy's Dead. I may have New Nightmare on VHS, but of course, before we had DVD and Blu-ray, we had VHS, and I was always happy I got this particular VHS because it was an anniversary limited collector's edition digitally remastered deluxe 2-tape set. And the reason is because there's a whole section of deleted scenes. There was this entire subplot that was cut out of A Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm a big continuity buff, so that really excited me. And the scene was when they were in the boiler room and Marge is showing Nancy the glove that's in their little furnace thing that they have down in their basement. She makes the comment that the reason that all the parents killed Freddy Krueger was because Nancy was not always an only child. That all of the 4 kids in the original film, they had older siblings who had previously been murdered by Freddy. And when I was at a horror convention in Dallas, Ronnie Blakely was there. And I spoke to her about that scene, and she hadn't thought about it in years. And then, of course, you can see here I have Freddy's Nightmares, which is the television series. This, of course, is a bootleg because it's not available for release yet. But fear not, I will purchase it. I will purchase it when it comes out. But this is the only way I could get it now, so that's what I have. So I enjoy that. And of course, I have the DVD collection. And of course, the Freddy's Dead is in 3D, which we enjoy. Ooh, I'm in 3D.
Oh, enough of all that. Apparently you like to read books, don't you?
Down here, you have the original Nightmare on Elm Street parts 1, 2, and 3 that had the original origin story of Freddy Krueger. And then you have the novelizations of 4 and 5. And then I have Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which the author went ahead and kind of tied into the movie and wrote little journal entries in between chapters as if Freddy Krueger was also trying to come and get to him. And then this is one of my favorites, which is Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger's 7 Sweetest Dreams. It was 7 short stories of people's different adventures or encounters with Freddy Krueger. One of which was Nancy. The girl saw a ghost of Nancy, and Nancy was standing there with a wound in her stomach because that's how she died in part 3, and there were 3 baby heads dangling out of it because that would have been how many kids Nancy would have had. And then there was another story of Neil from part 3 where he went into an alternate universe and he married Amanda Krueger and helped raise Freddy as a good person so that he could bring good Freddy into our reality and fight bad Freddy because Freddy was the only one who could defeat Freddy. Which were for some reason, a young adult series. And then you have the new series of books that came out. Then, of course, you have The Nightmare Never Ends, which was the original companion of the Nightmare on Elm Street series. As those of us who grew up with this know, this is the first Freddy Krueger mask that was released wide, at least as far as I'm aware. He kind of looks like that old guy who wants you to go to Six Flags. Dun 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 dun. It's an original mask that was made out of foam, and you could paint it, and then you would cut out the eyes and through the mouth and attach it with glue. And I always liked that one because it had Freddy's teeth. These were the gloves I made because I wanted to wear Freddy Krueger's claws. And this one I was actually particularly proud of because I carved the popsicle sticks into little bins at the end. That one was my favorite that I did. And then I wrapped them in aluminum foil and wore this glove, and I'm assuming that's dried up blood. Then I showed you the gloves I made. This was the first glove they released, which is the plastic, of course, basic one, but it was the first one that came out. And more recently, they've had this one. It's always fun to wear a murder weapon on your hand. How sweet! Fresh meat! So this is, I think, a rather rare item. It's a Max FX now showing doll, and it's a Freddy of A Nightmare on Elm Street. But it's a normal man with normal clothes, and you have the Freddy mask, and the sweater, and the pants, and the boots, and the hat, and the glove, and stuff. So, Freddy, will I ever win the lottery?
Welcome to my nightmare.
Freddy, am I going to die of a horrible disease? It's not very nice, Freddy. How often do you trim your nails?
The only thing to fear is fear himself.
So yeah, it just says those three things, but it's motion activated. One of my most treasured pieces of my collection is when I started meeting the celebrities and the stars who starred in the films at conventions. And the first one I ever met was the lovely Lisa Wilcox. And she said the line to me, "You are one major league hunk." And she wrote it on here, and it just kind of blew my mind, like the reality and the fantasy crossed over, and it was like, yes, this is the person that you used to watch in those films forever. So I met her first at a different convention, and then I, of course, met Amanda Wyss and Ronnie Blakely, John Saxon, Kim Myers. I was very happy to see someone representing from part 2. Ken Sagos, he had this lovely little montage of pictures, and then he also was trying to raise money for a charity, so he had this one at a discount, and you just can't beat a discount. The guy was super cool. Mrs. Tuesday Night, who actually I've never met, but there was a guy there selling her autographs, and I figured that it's possible I won't, because I hear she doesn't travel, but maybe one day I'll actually get to meet her. Just Miko Hughes, he was awesome, a lot of fun. Kelly Jo Minter, Yvonne, super cool, super cool. Andrus Jones, Rick from Nightmare on Elm Street 4, I always liked him, I always liked that cool scene he did where he was fighting. Toy Newkirk, Sheila, wanna suck face. I always felt so bad for her because she had to put her mouth on that nasty makeup. Then of course you have the lovely Miss Erica Anderson, Greta. I always love that scene when she goes, "I have to go gnash my teeth with the paparazzi." I used to say it all the time. Then of course I met Lisa Wilcox again, and she says, "See you soon, sweet dreams." She didn't quite know what that meant, but I'll explain in a minute. Brooke Thies, loved her a lot from Nightmare 4. She was also in Just the 10 of Us, the television show with Heather Langenkamp, And I always knew, and forgive me, I don't remember the actress's name, that there was the smart daughter on the show, always looked like the girl at the end of the bus in the opening scene of Freddy's Revenge, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. She said that they always used to tease Jamie Luner, who was the other daughter on the show, because she was the only one who hadn't been in a Nightmare on Elm Street, that the actress that I always knew was in that scene, she said that really was her, and it was confirmed for me, so we're really happy with that. And you have the lovely Miss Jennifer Rubin. She was really nice. I felt so bad for her. She was kind of ill. She picked up a bug, and she signed that one for me, and she also signed this one to me. Okay, asshole, let's dance. So I was like that. Then the lovely Penelope Sudrow as Jennifer Caulfield. She pulled this photo out of some old photos she had and made it, and that's her next to her head mask casing that she did. And then Rodney Eastman, Joey, Lynn Shay. That was most everyone, but then of course we have, as always, I did get to meet Robert Englund, and I had him sign this picture because I loved the new Nightmare Freddy. I had Robert Englund sign my Freddy doll, Sleep Kills, because he has to. And then there was a series of Freddy Krueger comics that came out from Innovation, which are amongst my prized possessions because I really liked the story and how it continued with the characters that already existed. And I always loved this cover, and I had both Heather Langenkamp, Robert Englund, and the creator Andy Mangels sign it. And Heather Langenkamp writes, "William, my twisted darling fan, screw your pass, Heather Langenkamp." And I always loved the ones where Nancy came back, because Nancy is, in my opinion, the ultimate, but I think Nancy and Alice should team up or something. I think that would be pretty wicked. Another autograph from her, and it's that picture. And I asked her to write, "Where did you learn that rhyme?" Because I told her that was probably one of my most favorite moments in Nightmare on Elm Street 3 was when Kristen's in there and Nancy walks in and she hears it and she says that. And it's that connection from the first film, as much as when Nancy gets pulled in the dream and she sees Freddy for the first time in the film, and they have that moment where all that history comes rushing back in. For some reason, I always really liked those two parts.
Who knows what Alice and Nancy are? He's seen them.
Oh, when I would meet these people, that I asked people to sort of fake kill me in a picture. It started out as people who had died in films, because of course you meet more of those because there's usually only one survivor, hence sole survivor. Now it's final girl, but I guess you could have some final guys. And I guess we have, anyway, Jesse. Hi. But he had Lisa's help, so what are you going to do? Anyway, I would have them kill me in some way, like they could pretend like they were choking me or stabbing me or whatever. So here's a little clip of that. Enjoy that. Along the lines with the Innovation comic. In this issue, there was a gentleman who wrote in and had an issue with the fact that they used a play on words of Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream." They wrote "I Had a Dream." It was the editor's note in the beginning. And for some reason, I was just so bitter about it that I was compelled to write in. And when I rushed out to buy the next issue, there it is. Very first letter in the letter column is the one that I wrote. "First, I would like to compliment you on a wonderful comic. It is the sequel I have been waiting for." And then why don't people just sit back and realize it is just for fun? It is not satanic subliminal transcripts that will turn all of the young in the world into mindless, bloodthirsty zombies that everybody thinks it is. It is just good American fun. And let's not forget the basic message behind horror comics, movies, or whatever. It is that good overcomes evil, that no matter what we are faced with, if we stand for good, then we will overcome. So, I was telling you about Lisa Wilcox, and she would write on the second picture she autographed for me, "See you soon." And what happened was I was actually cast in a small role in her newest movie, Imago. And the scene I'm in, I exit and she walks to get into the scene. And so I was really excited about that, and I'm really excited to see the movie come out. So you can look for Lisa, you can also look for me. what you can see behind me was a promo picture up at a video store. They were taking this down, and I asked them if I could have it, and they said yes. So it's got this old like tiny frame with your spiders and your webbing, and then Freddy is in there about to slice off a finger. So I saw this and purchased it immediately. Nightmare on Elm Street collector's card set. And it's in a little coffin with Freddy Krueger heads holding the bar. And inside are collector cards. And they even have the special hologram cards, and I believe it's all the way up to part 4 or 5. And then I have the shot glasses. Gotta have the shot glasses. Poster on the front. Nightmare on Elm Street on the back.
I think I need a shot.
Gotta have the 2. Have a shot with Freddy. The Nightmare on Elm Street Nintendo game. This is the first Nightmare on Elm Street board game that I found. And on the back here it has the evil Freddy claw reaching out of the board. How fun is that? I would love to play a game where the serial killer bursts through the board and kills us all. Oh, maybe it's just the people in the back who realize it's happened and the people in the front still think they're taking a promo for the picture. There's 2 of these for boards. You have the boiler room, and then you have the nightmare side and the awake side, and I guess you have to travel through and beat things. Then you get to play Nightmare on Elm Street, the Freddy game, where it's a 3D board, and apparently it's somewhat like one of the characters is Freddy, so not only is Freddy out to get you, but it's one of your friends and you're being betrayed, so it's an extra level of pain and torture, the Freddy game. I got this little plastic statue. Now one of the really random one-offs that I got were these 2 little head things right here. As you can see, that's Freddy, and it's a spitball. And it squirts out water. There's this little victim with his little scratches down his face, and he screams and...
I'd kill this guy myself, but he doesn't even have a life.
Oh, this thing right here, random little Freddy Krueger doll. It has little suction cups you can hang on a window like in a car or something, because you know you really want to be afraid of those of us who have these actually dangling, but the way they did it, it looks like he has an overbite, and for some reason he's carrying a skull like he's Hamlet. But this is a yo-yo. Freddy Krueger yo-yo.
What the fuck is this? I'm not a Care Bear! A yo-yo? Are you serious?
So, do you have what it takes? Because I think I have what it takes to be the final guy. Come on, Freddy. Bring it on. It's already been brought. Like the whole thing, of course, because why else would I be sending in this video if I didn't love it?